everybody? Back for another episode of the Dr. Beau Show. This is a solo cast, and we're talking about fitness and health. More specifically, fitness is not health. This isn't a podcast about CrossFit, but that's kind of what I think of when we think about this bastardization of the way we conceptualize health and fitness. And a lot of that, maybe, if we dive into some of the CrossFit aspects of, how Greg Glassman kind of went further into the health realm, trying to then kind of, extrapolate the usefulness of CrossFit into the treatment of metabolic disease and things like that, which I'm not here to discount any of that, but just kind of want to talk about this general theme that I see that maybe isn't understood as well as it should be, or as well as I think it could be. So fitness is not health. What is fitness? Technically defined, fitness is an ideal state of health. So health is within the definition of fitness. So what's that immediately tell us? It means that health precedes fitness. You have to have some semblance of health before you can be fit. Being fit also does not automatically, this isn't a two-way agreement, does not mean that you're automatically healthy, and rarely doesn't mean that you're healthy if you're at the tip of the spear, the highest end of fitness. So if we're the fittest in the world, we definitely probably are not the healthiest in the world. And we'll talk about that a little bit. So that's what, we've seen. I mean, how many different evolutions, in the last 100 years we've seen of fitness and exercise, all the way back from, gymnastics training and strongmen, like 1920s, 30s, and then 40s and 50s, we get into kind of the military, presidential fitness awards, sit-up push-ups, standard body movement stuff. Then we get into the 60s, late 60s, 70s. Then we get into the jogging. 70s, 80s, we get into the aerobic craze. 90s, it's back into this weightlifting, bodybuilding kind of mindset. 2000s, I don't know what 2000s define, like bro workouts, like biceps, like bis and tris. I don't really know. I guess that's also 90s were like the advent of like heavy triathlon. You get into like Ironman and kind of, there's a couple camps here. And, now it's gone off into this crazy world of fitness is health and competition is fitness. Not just, it's not good enough to be fit. You have to be competing as an amateur, and everybody thinks they're a professional. And it's bred this, and social media and marketing has a lot to do with it, but it's bred this weird paradigm where people feel like they have to be competing and really fit to be healthy. And then a lot of the times what's that end up doing? It detracts from their health, right? Injury's an easy one to decipher, that, somebody's training so hard, they overload capacity of tissue, or, hormones get thrown out of whack. But like, also just like, what's your objective with this? Are you, I've had so many runners that say, now that I'm injured and I can't run, I feel like I'm losing my mind. And this sometimes it's not a euphemism, sometimes it is, but these people are literally using running as a crutch or an aid to dispel anxiety, depression, whatever it is, which is great. That's better than booze or pills or whatever. But then we got to realize that that's still a heavy crutch, and that our fitness is propping up something else that's missing, which is health, right? A healthy person doesn't need to rely on any one thing to prop them up. They realize that it's this well-rounded, principle-based approach where anything can slip a little bit and you're still pretty good, because you're not solely focused. You're not this over-specialization within fitness, or this elitist movement within fitness of like, you've got to be doing, killing yourself every day with your workout. You've got to be logging 100 miles a week. You got to be doing, it's not good enough for a marathon now. It's, and I'm in this world, you got to do ultra marathon. You got 50K, 50 mile, 100 mile, 100K. Like, you got to keep going. That's okay. Some people can get away with that, but it takes a toll on everybody at some point. So I think the deal is that people are actually more concerned about it's not just the miseducation, right? People maybe, I think, have a poor understanding that fitness isn't health, right? They would assume, and there's a lot of crossover, but realize health precedes fitness. But I think the honest truth is people would rather just be fit. And I'm talking Western culture, would rather be fit than healthy. So in that vein, what do we basing fitness on. Things like physique, your weight, stats, right? Like we're in this like biometric crazy world of Oura rings and whoop bands and heart rate variability, and I got to get my 10,000 steps right die. Like it becomes this like I'm fit, therefore I'm healthy. Who said I think therefore I am? That's not how it works. Health is a multitude of things beyond being fit, and again, it precedes it. So what are the pillars of health? If we say that we need to be healthy before we're fit, what does that mean? Well, the pillars of health, in my opinion, and this would be shared by many people, is movement. Now, we're not saying that's exercise. I'm going to define that here in a second, but movement, nutrition, sleep and rest, I'm going to throw into the same category. Relationships, meaningful relationships, and we'll say friends, family, loved ones, all grouped together there. These are pillars of health. Like these are, and some of these are more important. Friendship has been shown to be one of the most important pillars of health in your blue zones, or people that are really killing the longevity game, right? These meaningful relationships outside of outside of your nuclear family, right? Meaningful friendships are more important. Some sort of spiritual practice or spiritual belief system is huge in that. A purpose, right? If we don't have a purpose, and a purpose can be a lot of different things. It doesn't have to be a purpose, maybe rarely should be tied to your profession, but it can be. But having a purpose is a huge thing for a human, just based on consciousness and how we thrive in this inner space that then allows the outer space to become healthy. And then how I'm going to define exercise for this podcast is actually durability. So if we have a movement practice, think, movement, exercise is part of that, right? If I'm lifting weights, I'm moving. If I'm running, I'm moving. But if I only do those things to become fitter at running, I detract from that movement practice. I get worse at moving and I become less durable. Durability would be what? A wide variety, variability within my movement practices and different strategies, different loading strategies, lifting weights, zone 2 based aerobic exercise, mobility work, yoga, breathing, swimming, like all these different things. It's not about being, the marketing scheme behind CrossFit of being prepared for life is kind of funny. Like that's great, but like how often, the joke is how often are you going to have to, snatch your kid directly over your head? Like not that often, or do you ever do that with a weight? What would be better is like you pick 3 or 4 things you actually enjoy, right? And that you can do moderately well, build on those. And then maybe you tackle one thing that you're not very good at and you really work on that outside of that, not doing 15 things you're not very good at that tear you down while you're trying to become more fit, that then detract from your health. I think that's a poor strategy. So that, again, pillars of health: movement, nutrition, sleep, rest, relationships, durability, spirit, and purpose. We could go, more specific on those. We could become way more general. Maybe we knock it down to 3, but that's kind of what I have come up with in my mind. So if that's health, then what are the pillars or the principles of fitness? It really boils down to some pretty simple stuff: that your capacity is greater than your performance, that by being healthy, by having adequate, and I guess it would go beyond adequate if you want to get into fitness. Really, it's not just adequate nutrition, rest, sleep, all these things. It's above average, because now my capacity is outweighing, if I want to go do a marathon, my capacity of my tissues, my bony architecture, my mental fortitude, my aerobic system, my hormone profile. My capacity is greater than the performance I'm going to go after, right? If you redline a car all the time, you're gonna blow that car up. And we see a lot of blown up cars in my office. That it's not an injury, it's a training thing, right? It's a lifestyle thing, it's an environment thing. Competency and skill. There are non-skilled fitness endeavors and varying levels of skill within fitness endeavors. But if I am really, really healthy, I've knocked out almost all of these things, all the pillars of health. Yet when I go to run, I'm not a very good runner, which you could be a really good mover and not a good runner because you don't have great neuromotor control, right? Or it's a new movement to you. The opportunity or risk for injury is elevated a bit. So, same thing with golf, or you could be extremely healthy and I just hit a fat shot every time when I'm golfing and I come in and my back's just torn up. So competency and skill is part of this fitness thing, that the specificity does exist preceded by health. And I'm going to be a broken record on that. And then probably one of the biggest things I want to get across here is seasons. That health doesn't have a season. You need to be healthy all the time for you and the people around you and really the world at large, right? I have this, healthy person philosophy that a healthy person is going to create a healthy world. That's that environmental reflection piece that I talk about a lot, but there is a season to fitness. You cannot stay in top running shape form all the time. You'll break, right? This is where periodization, timelines of how you train and how you peak and then how you periodize and back off. And, there's a lot of theories behind this, but I think everybody would agree that you cannot stay at top fitness for a top, like elite level fitness for a long time, or you break. You're doing what? You're trying to outperform your capacity consistently. So that's where a great periodized, well planned out fitness regimen goes through peaks and valleys where we're doing this. Now you can be well prepared to where it's much easier to spike your performance outputs, right? So my level of health and fitness is really good. And then all I have to do is like bump up the specificity, bump up the skill, change up the variety of what I'm doing for the competition goal, whatever I'm doing, even a physique goal in that case, right? Like, hey, now maybe it's a show, maybe it's the beach. And you're like, I'm a pretty healthy person, but I want to get a six pack. Is it healthy to be extremely lean all the time? No, it's not, right? So things like that, like we can talk about, are we moving into the fitness realm, the health, like all that stuff, but there are no seasons to health, right? Health is the thing, seasons to fitness. So I hope that's what everybody gets across here. And that's really the biggest point I want to drive home, that we're stuck in this mindset right now that we have to, it's a data driven, I need feedback. I need somebody to tell me that I did something okay, but a device, social media, the scale, whatever it is, we need somebody to tell us that we did okay. And what we really need to figure out is like, what does not just okay feel like what's healthy feel like? And when you realize that you're healthy, you realize like fitness is a byproduct. Like your relative level of fitness is fairly high when you're healthy. And then if you want to be a stud or studette, what do you got to do? You have to get specific, gain competency and skill, and go through periodized training of seasons and off seasons, so you don't break that system down. I hope you guys enjoy these solo podcasts. I like kind of just, going off on a specific topic where it's just, quick and short. These are the things that are floating around my mind. It's a little bit cathartic for me to just get it out and talk about it. So if you guys have ideas, like specific questions that I can tackle, I'm always game to bring on an expert or a guest to talk about these things, but just let me know what's on your mind and what I can help with. And as always, I appreciate you listening. If you are listening, if you want to leave us a review for the Dr. Beau Show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, give us 5 stars, write a little blurb. That'd be awesome, so we can get more people hearing what I think is some pretty good information. Appreciate you guys watching, listening. See ya.